Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up to the layup, oh, blocked by James! With a new shot clock.
Oh, great no-look to Zizic, who puts it home.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Touchdown, Ohio State! And Curry has to back off as James throws it down.
Struck him out looking. That's his 10th strikeout of the night.
Braxton Miller is loose. Spin move! Miller headed for the end zone!
Edwin drills it. Deep left. It is gone, and the Indians win it.
Smith, alley-oop to James! Wow!
Next thing you go up initially, he's going to take a shot. Has some air under it. Has his man Kaiser. Perfectly thrown pass to Gordon. Touchdown Cleveland.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on into another edition of the Real Sports Talk Show. And I am not alone today, as I am joined by my fellow buddy, Mr. Kevin Rosser.
How's it hanging?
It's hanging, that's for sure. After my head is for sure hanging after last night's Cavs loss. It was a rough loss, but we are not here to talk about the Cavs, as we are here to do our little update we give every 2 weeks. We are going to be doing a little update, a little check-in on the Cleveland Indians to keep up with the long baseball season and to keep everybody updated on maybe some guys in the minors, some things that are going on with the team right now, what the record is, who's on the rise, who needs to go down, stuff like that. Just all the main common stuff. But let's go ahead and start this off. The Cavs, oh my God, no. The Indians right now, they are actually on a day off. They are in Puerto Rico as they are getting ready to take on the Minnesota Twins. And why do I keep saying the Cavs? I want to talk about the Cavs because of how bad it was last night.
Because of how bad your prediction was.
That too. I had a terrible prediction. I thought the Cavs were going to win and pull away at halftime, but guess what? They didn't. They got rammed last night by the Pacers pretty bad in Victor Oladipo.
But you know, we're all talking positive vibes right now because the Indians are above 500, sitting at 8-6, second in the division.
Chief Wahoo.
You know, the main story has been the offense or lack thereof so far. Last couple games, this little homestand, they've gotten a little bit of a rhythm in a few games, but for the most part, to start the year, the bats just have not been connecting.
Now, let me ask you. I will say I did make it to one game so far. Me and you both attended the game.
Oh, what a game it was.
It was a phenomenal game for anybody who was with us. Phenomenal game. But my question is, and this is kind of something that's been kind of going around the league. It's not just in the northern areas. Is the weather affecting the Indians right now, or is it just the beginning of the year? Or what do you think it is that we have, because right now we do have a very, very high percentage of barreled up baseballs, which for those of you who do not know, that means we are putting the sweet spot on the ball with the bat, and we are putting some very, very hard hit balls out there. But right now they're just not turning into hits.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The weather is affecting the baseball in general, not only from a hitter's perspective, but from a pitcher's perspective as well.
Correct.
You're seeing it more so in other markets than others. I feel like our stadium is a little bit more conducive to allow the weather to affect the game than, say, any of the stadiums in California, perhaps. But, you look at, like you said, we're hitting the ball like we should. The ball's just dying in the cold air,
right,
which makes Zimmer's blast that he had a week prior that ultimately provided the game-winning runs. He hit it.
Bomb.
It was a bomb to right center field, measuring about 410, 415.
And on a summer night.
In June or July, that's going about 460.
460 for Zimmer. Oh man, Ross. I was gonna say that was gonna be in the bullpen for the other, either our bullpen or their bullpen. 460, that's kind of deep, but I'll take it. I mean, I love Zim Shady, and Zim Shady's got some power, but he's got the speed. Who is somebody right now who is impressing you, or they're doing what they should, not just a pitcher? Because right now I feel like our pitching staff, other than the bullpen, is the starting pitching right now is what's holding this record together and keeping us winning. But who on the position player wise right now is kind of standing out to you and kind of showing that he will have a good year despite this weather and despite a rather slow start?
I do like what I've seen out of Brantley so far. Certainly not 100% where you would like to see him, especially from a defense's perspective. I feel like he's the weakest of the three outfield positions at the moment. Zimmer's been showing some great range in the center, the amount that he's played out there. Geyer and Naquin are decent defensively, and Brantley's still finding his legs out there in left field. That's why he had a delayed comeback to begin with.
Right.
But at the plate, I feel like he's swinging the bat very well, just like everybody else. And he just needs to keep playing on a day-to-day basis, and he'll get back into that rhythm. Whether he can get to the all-star level, we'll see. But obviously that's what you'd hope for a guy that's been in the organization for so long and had so many struggles. You want to see him get back to form. It'd be a great story for this franchise.
Right. And going off of that, I do agree Brantley needs to see some more, more ABs, stuff like that. And he still is on those scheduled off days to make sure that he is not overworking his legs and, re-aggravating any injuries. But I'll tell you right now, I for sure have still never come around to him ever since his first year with us, and especially since he signed that big contract. But I'll tell you, I hate, and if for any kids listening, don't watch Yan Gomes bat. Please, just don't. I understand he had a walk-off a couple weeks ago, but don't watch the guy bat. But if you want to see a guy who knows how to play the catcher position as a defensive standpoint, you need to watch Yan Gomes. This guy has one of the best pop times in the game, and he has a cannon for an arm. Yes, there are a couple times that it will get away, and, throws do sail, but that's with any catcher. Any catcher is going to do that. Granted, we don't see it all the time because it is a very big rarity at the major league level, but every catcher in the major leagues at some point will have a ball that gets away from him. Don't watch Yan Gomes bat, but watch the guy play behind the plate. When there's a runner on first, you don't even really have to pay attention to the guy at first base because they're not going to run on Yan. And I understand the Indians have a hell of a time on Twitter, really, don't run on Yan. But, I mean, seriously, you guys have to stop running on Yan Gomes because the guy is going to gun you out.
From a defensive catcher perspective and for keeping runners on first base, he is the Yadier Molina of the American League.
Those snap throws behind first, I mean, even if it's a ball, you have to pay attention because you could get picked off from him at home plate because the guy will do the snap throws to first.
And you can see that we're doing some of the little things well. We're doing some good base running. That's what helped us along the last couple seasons to get to the postseason. Yan and even Robo, to an extent, has been phenomenal behind the plate, keeping runners to minimal bases. And like you touched on, the starting pitching is phenomenal. Corey Kluber is in God mode even earlier than we expected.
Now, do you want to also add, because I will say, Corey Kluber has been untouchable. We all know that, other than when Ohtani took him into another area code, but do you also want to put Carlos Carrasco now into that same caliber as a Corey Kluber? Because I'm telling you right now, when I watch Carrasco against the Tigers, I understand they were playing a minor league team, but my goodness, Carlos Carrasco, when he has it, and it's rare. It is rare when a pitcher is so successful with 5 pitches. And Kluber and Carrasco can both get you out with every single pitch in their arsenal. And right now, and if you've been a lifelong Indians fan like me and some of my friends, Rosser, you understand that Carlos Carrasco was one of those guys who almost was not even going to make, they made it to the show. They were in the big leagues, and they just never really came in their own. He got sent to the bullpen multiple times. He became a starter multiple times, and each time it just did not work out. And then Mickey Callaway discovered just diamonds in this guy and developed some good pitches, worked on his mechanics, and now Carlos Carrasco is one of the best pitchers in the AL.
What we're seeing out of Carrasco, I thought, is what we were going to get out of Salazar.
Okay, that is very true.
It's unfortunate because when he's on his game, he's got a very wicked fastball, one of the most untouchable fastballs when he's 100% on his game.
Right.
But that's not something that we've been able to see, and unfortunately, his star is greatly diminished.
And looking back on it, if you really think about the way Salazar was, Salazar is the one who started that wild card game against Tampa Bay. And I still remember one of the best games that we've watched Salazar pitch in was when they played Detroit. And yes, it was a regular season game. And this guy came out and he struck out Miggy 3 times in a row. Then, and that was when Miggy was the Indian killer. Miggy showed up every time in Cleveland. This guy was projected to have like 9 home runs in 3 games and, like 30 RBIs against the Indians. And he struck him out 3 times. And then the 4th time, Miggy literally took him yard. But we really have not seen the same Salazar. He tried to lower the speed on his velocity, the velocity of his fastball, and he tried to become more of a pitcher, and he didn't want to become a flamethrower and just blow his arm out. And now you're starting to see a guy who, when's the next time we might even see this guy pitch?
Well, who knows? Because while Josh Tomlin is more of an enigma than Trevor Bauer,
He's
in the worst way, you look at a guy like Clevenger. He did record the first shutout of the year for the Indians.
Clevenger's got a live arm. It took him a couple years to develop, but he looks good.
It took him a while to fill out his frame.
That too.
And to add a bit of power behind his throws, but now that he's added a couple miles per hour to some of his pitches, I do think that he is going to be a very effective tool anchoring down the back half of the rotation. So that guys like Kluber and Carrasco and hopefully Bauer to an extent will have a bit of pressure alleviated from them so that they can just go out there with little to no stress and just wheel and deal how we expect them to.
Now, we do want to say, please don't freak out when you see a stat line involving what the Indians' batting averages are or whatever it may be. I know right now today is the 16th, 17th, something like that.
It is the 16th of April.
16th of April, and tomorrow we are projected to even have snowfall. So the Indians are down in Puerto Rico. We're up here battling. Yesterday there were tornado warnings, and now tomorrow we're getting snow. So typical Ohio weather, typical Ohio problems. But don't read too much into what their stats are, and definitely don't get into, because I know we've seen it, when we went to the game the other night. Lindor is, if not the best shortstop in the league. Oh. And right now he's had a couple early errors, and I think right now with the weather, I think a lot of things are starting to kind of get into his head a little bit. And I kind of like the fact that they are in Puerto Rico right now to kind of, he's going back home. And he's going to be able to finally get back to playing with some warm weather baseball. And you aren't going to see him throwing the ball in the dirt to first base and Yonder missing it and, Lindor getting an error. Because I think right now Lindor's got like 2 errors on the year. And the thing is right now we've seen a high peak in the weather because when they played Toronto on, Friday night, it was like 70 degrees. Or Thursday night, it was like 70 degrees. And now you go down and we're battling this weather and he's down in the warm weather. I think his bat's fully going to start heating up now. It was starting to heat up towards the end of last week, but I think this week going into next week, we're going to see Lindor really starting to get that batting average back up there. And I don't think that's just Lindor. I think that's a lot of people on this team, including Bradley Zimmer.
Oh, yeah, and just to make your point about the weather, the game that we went to was on the 12th against the Tigers. They won 9-3. You see,
and that was against Fulmer too.
Oh,
Fulmer's the only person on that team other than Victor and Miggy that deserve to be in the major leagues at this time.
Yeah, we lit them up. We put 6 runs on the board in the first 2 innings just to show you that, yes, we are making good contact with the ball and we're getting guys on base when we can because of that. And with the ball flying a bit more in warmer weather, it's going to be a very exciting summer for the Indians.
That is very true. We are going to go ahead and wrap things up here today. Rosser, any last notes on the good old Tribe?
I'm just taking a look at how some of these guys are starting off down in AAA Columbus. Yandy's batting 267. Mejia's batting 229.
Please, guys, remember Mejia. Remember Mejia. This guy is going to be a stud.
Oh yeah, for how good Yan Gomes is defensively, I don't want to jump the ship, but with the right coaching, and if Tito can bring him up properly and integrate him slowly but surely into the lineup, you get the defense of Yan with the bat
Of a dominant catcher.
of a dominant catcher. I'm gonna jump ahead on this one. I'm saying Mike Piazza level bat for a catcher. And that is very high praise. Mike Piazza is one of the best hitting catchers of all time.
This guy did have one of the longest minor league. I think he does have the longest minor league hit streak ever. And yeah, it is the minor leagues, but what we're getting at is the guy can see the ball. He can hit. He does have power, but he gets base hits. He gets on base, and the guy is an absolute stud.
And if you can have your catcher bat 6th or 7th, what that does for the rest of the lineup,
It's scary.
It changes everything.
Scary.
You can move guys all over the place, and your lineup can still be just as effective.
That is very true. My last tidbit for today's show, other than the fact of please don't look too much into the weather and stuff, I really, really want to put out there that I think it's an absolute joke that they have extended that netting with at every home field and stuff like that. I think it's a joke. I think if you're going to a baseball game, one of the best things is to get a baseball. I completely understand that these baseballs are, and sometimes even bats, they're coming, at a insane rate of speed. But the thing is you do actually have a chance to move if you're not on your phone. And that's been one of my biggest things that really grinds my gears. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and say it grinds my gears because people go to these games and you sit on your phone the whole time and you wonder why you guys get hit. And, simple pop-ups that go straight up in the air can land right behind home plate. And I've seen it happen on live TV of a regular pop-up going behind home plate and hitting somebody because they're on their phone not paying attention. So let's go ahead and pay attention when you're at a baseball game, especially the Cleveland Indians. So
if you're going to pay attention to any team, why not watch the Tribe? They're so exciting.
Exactly.
So explosive.
Exactly.
One quick prediction before we go. By the time of our next check-in, do you think the Indians will overtake the Twins for first place?
The Indians, and how much was it? 2 weeks?
They're a half game back on the Twins.
They're a half game back. The next time we check in, mark my words, the Indians will be a 2.5 game lead over the Minnesota Twins.
I think that sounds about right.
2.5 game.
3, perhaps even 3.5, somewhere in that range.
I agree.
The Indians will. I think they'll sweep the Twins in Puerto Rico. Honestly,
I hope. It's warm weather. Get them bats hot.
Yeah, Kluber dealing tomorrow, and
you got your big three going.
Oh, yeah.
Your big three in the rotation is for sure going against the Twins. But that is going to wrap it up for today's show on the Cleveland Indians Insider, or if you want to call it Tribe Report, whatever we want to call it. We call it whatever we want. I'll call it the Tribe Insider. That does it for today's show. Like always, Foisey doing a hell of a job. For anybody who still checks out our YouTube videos, he just put out a new outro, actually, not intro. He put on a new outro. Saw it myself. It was very cool. So far, all the work that Foisey has done is phenomenal. You can go ahead and follow him on Twitter. All our stuff is online when you check our YouTube videos out. Make sure you follow the crew. Make sure you follow the page. Make sure you guys even follow anything you want on our what is our, we have a Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have a YouTube, and
Subscribe to us on iTunes.
we're on
Podcasts.
iTunes. I mean, guys, we're everywhere. If you guys are at work, you can take us on the go. If you guys are sitting at home reading a book, which I know none of you guys are, you can listen to us.
Speak for yourself.
All right, yeah, I can't read. So anybody who is doing anything, if you're sitting at home and you're playing Fortnite, PUBG, you can listen to us. Yes, we may not be that good, but we are the best in your heart. Just look deep down. For Kevin Rosser and Foisey, and guys, don't miss, we also do have Cleveland fans on the next show. Please don't miss it. But until then, any last words, Rosser?
Go Tribe.
Go Tribe. Go Cavs.
Go Cavs. Try. Yeah, let's try.
What about the Browns? They did have their first thing today. Was it what the rookies reported and everything today? Anything? Before we go, 10 seconds.
I'm excited for Juice.
Oh man. Okay, that does it, folks. We'll see you later, guys. Everybody, stay good.
Final seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again.
This ball is